free, she throwing that ass. I'm up first for coming in last. Went to the bank, happy alive. Nigga fuck love, rather by rap. Nigga fuck love, rather by rap.
Welcome to episode 37. Double checked it, quadruple checked it. Look at the emails, the YouTube page. I got it right this time, boys. Episode 37, Woodcrest certified, coming at you. Thank you all for joining us once again. As always, like, comment, subscribe. In case y'all didn't know, that goes a long way because the liking and the commenting, subscribing, like that goes into the algorithm to help push us to other people's pages in case they want to listen to us dickheads, talk about shit, talk about life and whatnot. So like, comment, subscribe. Jam-packed topics here and some interesting ones. I like the first one that I mentioned off camera. Why are Latinos shifting right politically? That is an interesting one. Take it away.
I don't
So,
Chris.
Yeah, I was so so I just seen that some Mexican chick got voted something.
All right.
I don't want to say to the Senate. I don't know. She got voted something. And she's a conservative. She's high on religion, which makes sense. Like a lot of our parents are also high on religion. If you're from the Caribbean or you're from South America, like religion is probably a huge part of your life.
Yep.
She's also an immigrant, and she's against immigration. And they voted her in. And I just found it strange that like a lot of Latinos, and you see it down south in Florida too with the Cubans, and you see it back in Dominican Republic, they fucking love Trump. And it makes me like wonder like why so many Hispanics are moving to the right.
I think I told you guys this story a while ago, but actually might have even mentioned it in the podcast. But like when I was home, this was a few years back and I was chilling with some family friends and shit, and they started having a political conversation, and then the guy was like, "You'll see," and he's Puerto Rican, like from Puerto Rico and all that shit. And the guy was like, "You'll see once you start making more money, the older you get, you start to go more towards the right compared to the left side. When you're younger, and you need that government assistance, you're like, fuck yeah, let's go left side. And then as you get older and you get more money, then you're like, wait, why the fuck are we giving them like my hard-earned money and all this shit?" So, I mean, I heard someone tell me that like straight up too, that they are more on the right side and change more, but for them it was more of the economics of it.
I mean, it's politically, people who are educated, who again, education usually leads to more money, tend to lean more left than they do right. So I don't know if the theory holds under those circumstances.
Well, because the right allows you to keep more of your money, don't it?
Right. You said people that make more bread are leaning left over right?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of. I'm saying like more educated, right? Like,
yeah. I was under the impression that people that make more bread are leaning right.
Yeah.
The tax breaks that come with it.
I mean, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, like two of the richest people on the planet, they definitely lean left for sure.
And I mean, I could be like Elon Musk. I mean, Elon Musk, he was right.
More left too.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg, like these guys are definitely on the left.
Now, are they more left as of recently because of like past presidencies, and that's why they're leaning more left because of what they had on the right side?
Bill Gates has always been left.
Trump hates Elon, so he definitely left. Like Trump can't stand that motherfucker. Like they have to it all the time.
They have conservative tendencies, but they for sure lean left politically. Like if they had to be put in a category, these guys are for sure, the left. But fuck those guys. What I'm really talking about is like these college educated people. Like people who end up like getting high paying jobs tend to, after they graduate college, end up being on the left more often than right.
I don't really know about that, dog.
Yeah, I was under the impression it was the opposite.
I mean, it's a statistical fact. You could check it. Like people with college degrees tend to vote for Democrats, and that's why Republicans feel like colleges brainwash kids and shit.
I saw somewhere that a lot of younger people from like 40 on down lean left, and older people tend to lean right. But I don't understand the correlation between that.
I guess that's more towards what Rook is saying. Like as you get older, you start becoming more practical in your thinking. And like I think we discussed this before, where a lot of liberal policies are more theoretical.
Yeah,
right. Like,
ideas.
They're ideas, right? Like we're gonna solve race. It's like how we're gonna do that. It's like we're gonna do it, right? Like nobody fucking knows. We're like
in 10 years it's gonna be solved, and it's like
like you know, if we yell at Nike long enough, but like Republicans are kind of repeating the same playbook that they know works. Like Trump is literally doing all the same shit Ronald Reagan was doing. You know what I mean?
Fuck that guy.
That Bush was doing.
I don't know if I've ever said this before, but fuck Ronald Reagan.
You said that last podcast episode.
All right, good. I'll say it again. Fuck Ronald Reagan.
Fair.
And
he started him and Richard Nixon, but that's another conversation for another day.
Alrighty then. So, all right. So, like, my whole thing was like the immigration thing is crazy because I actually had a teacher that was like this in the military, and he was a Mexican, and he grew up in South Texas, and he fucking hated Mexicans, and that shit was so bizarre to me. And now I'm seeing this lady get voted in, a Mexican who immigrated to this country who's anti-immigration. It's just like, how the fuck did that end up happening? Like, you know?
Yeah. I have a question about that. When they mention that they hate immigration, do they specify whether it's legal or illegal? Because I'll hear, you know, I've read or heard people talk about being against immigration, but specifically illegal immigration.
All right, so
but it's like what they fail to like realize is like the process that comes with being able to get into the United States is quite the process, and it's time consuming. So it's like a lot of the people that are like emigrating to the United States illegally are just saying like, fuck waiting all that time. Like, I'm gonna just go. And on top of that, on top of the time being an issue, like it also costs money. And like some of these people can't afford like what it costs to get into this country. So that's another reason as to why they come illegally. So I wonder, like this person that was elected to whatever position it was, like, or when they talking about how they hate immigration, are they talking about illegal immigration?
All right, so to play both sides, I'll hit that in a second. But to play both sides, like it's made like that by design, right? Like if we want a bunch of people coming here from Brazil, we want the top of the trim, right? We want the doctors coming over here. We want the engineers coming here. We don't want the people with no skills, right?
No skills or no money.
No skills. Skills equals money a lot of times. So
all people that have no money have no skills.
A lot of times, yes.
Yeah. So like that's part of the process. Like they're like, okay, come here legally, the right way. And that kind of weeds out a lot of what they consider, you know, the other people, the undesirables, we'll call them. But at the end of the day, fuck that shit, right? Because what they're really tapping into is a phobia. Like when they're talking about legal immigration, they're really using it as a broad term to tap into this this thing that's existed in America for a long time. Not just America, but specifically here, where these motherfuckers just don't like people who don't speak and act and look like them, right? Especially when you're looking at somebody like a place like Texas. There's a lot of people there who are not cool with not just illegal immigration, but they don't fucking like legal immigration either.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like I had somebody, and I know he's never going to watch this podcast, so I'm going to say this with confidence. but there's somebody who I respect, or on some level, and I think he's pretty cool. And he's like, I hated when I was down there in Miami and they were speaking Spanish. It's like, who gives a fuck, right? Like,
but he's like in the minority though when it comes to that sentiment though, right? Like, I think like the majority. So. I mean, it's crazy because like I'll think about it. It's like these politicians that are getting voted into the positions that they're in is because of based off what they've said and done. And it's like some of them be talking like this, like you said, playing on phobias. And it's like, are the majority of people, because since these people are getting voted in, like they're winning the populist vote, like the majority of the vote.
I'm gonna use Charles as an example because you're not even the first person. Done yet. You're all right. Go ahead. Keep going.
So it's like, yeah, are the majority of people like that triggered or inspired by like these people, like these individuals, because they're politicians, like they're individuals. It's like groups of people. I mean, there are people telling them what to say, but it's like there's a face on these words. It's like this individual that's talking all this shit. Like, are they able to fool? Like, or not fool, but like, what, mislead? Like, manipulate like the people that vote for them in order to vote for them.
They're not manipulating.
They're the same people essentially. You just putting one person ahead of the hundreds.
Like, all right, so I'm gonna use Charles as an example, right? And you're not the only person who's told me this. Back in the day, like it was really hard for Haitians in this country. Like they would have to come here and they'd have to fight every fucking day. And it wasn't white people that they were fighting.
Nope.
So what was the problem? Like, if anything, like if you look back historically, Haitians are a reason why a lot of people of color are fucking free today. Right?
Fuck the people of color, the people of the United States, nigga, the whole Louisiana Purchase. But keep going.
Like like there's a huge significant historical significance to the Haitian people. And for whatever reason, when they came here, we didn't consider them black. And that created conflict in the communities. And niggas had to fight every day. Mm-hmm. And that's within the communities. That's black people fighting other black people. Why is that?
Phobias.
It's the same fucking thing. It's like there was a point in time where, like, if you were light skinned and you were around a bunch of dark skinned people, that would be a problem.
I was light skinned as a kid.
That's not white people versus black people. That's black people versus black people. When Italians and Jews first came here, they had to fucking fight Irish people. They had to fucking fight Jewish people. They had to fucking fight. This is the same thing over and over again. This is not the minority of people. I think a lot of people feel this way, but it gets exploited through shit like that. Like, oh, they show them like crime rates. Like, oh, this much gang activity and drug activity is happening. And it's because of all these people that are coming from South America. And they link those two things together. What they're doing is just activating some shit that these people already have. You know what I mean?
And so the majority of people already have that shit in them.
I think
so it's like that's a fucking problem, you know? Like, and it's like, how the fuck do you combat that? I mean, I know I've asked this before, and it's a complex answer, but it's really fucked up that a lot of people already have that shit in them, and they just need this one fucker that they can vote for to bring it out in them. Like,
it's not bringing it out. These motherfuckers is going in office and voting for these people that relates to them the most half of the time. Like that's why Trump even made it in office, because he was saying a lot of things that a lot of Americans was already thinking and doing, essentially. Like, because if you even look at, somebody said something to, I watched something and somebody said something to me the other day, and it was like, it's crazy how one group of Americans don't need legislations to justify certain things or aspect about themselves. Like you make amendments or legislations about hair being the right way, like locks. They just recently passed that shit. Or dress code because somebody's body shape is different than another group. And it's like, that shit wild as fuck. You feel me? So you won't get these people riled up because they was already thinking that shit. So you get a motherfucker like Trump, get up there on TV and be like, yeah, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. Why do you think he got so many votes? Like, so many votes. It's by motherfuckers that was already thinking just like him. Right. So now we're going to put you in office so you could do everything that we already wanted to be done. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the other way around. He got in office and now he rallying up his people Fuck no, his people rallied him up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It is, yeah, for sure.
Just circle back. I did find this webpage. It's a .org webpage. All right, it's a government webpage, and it So what Chris said is true. It says ideology and party identification among voters and non-college voters. There's a higher percentage that lean conservative, and then it's like crazy outweighed, like whether either it goes heavy, moderate, or liberal when you do college. So interesting. Fun fact of the day.
Wait, the majority of college educated lean right?
Left,
Yeah, left.
left, either left or down the middle. So liberal or moderate is how it's broken down. It's broken as liberal, moderate, or conservative. So crazy, and that goes, and it's like a crazy difference amongst all races too. So not just like so like
So are Spanish people leaning right? Can you confirm that?
No, they're leaning left with college education.
Oh, with college education.
Yeah.
So the majority of Spanish people not college educated. Oh shit, I'm not.
So the majority of non-college educated Hispanics are leading more moderate. 20% are conservative, 28 is liberal. But college educated Hispanics, 41% is liberal, 33 is moderate, and then 22 is conservative. So technically 2% higher on the conservative side.
Overall, like Latinos still lean left overall, but like they're slowly moving to the right. Like they're slowly like populating more of that space. And I thought that show was interesting.
Actually, looking at these numbers, Hispanics are the only people that there's a slight increase in percentage that go conservative with college with college education. Goes from 20 to 22%. Everyone else goes
Over
down.
how many years?
Like a 4-year education.
I'm talking about how long did it take to go from 20 to 22%.
What? What are you talking about years for?
Well, I don't know, just to see like the rate of growth in that
I mean,
identifier.
Trying to see where it shifts.
I'd have to read the entire article, which I'm just not going to do while we're recording.
Never mind,
yeah.
Sorry. It got numbers involved and shit.
It got numbers involved, so the fact that I even got that out correctly, you know.
Gotta take everything he's saying with a grain of salt.
I mean, I'll send y'all the page, man. Fuck you.
Post a link. Tag your sources.
Yeah, I'll cite my source. I'll put it in the description, bitch. No. The next one, which I found funny because Chris, you kind of hit on like right in the beginning, where it's like, when it comes to the college education, conservatives feel like it's a sham or whatever. That goes into that other topic we had, whereas why are Americans naturally distrustful of the system?
Like that shit is crazy. Like, and this is why I fight against conspiracy theories as hard as I do, because I feel like it all comes from that same like place. So I was having this conversation with this dude, right? A whole group of people at the yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, this and that. We voted this guy in, and everything's going to shit, and blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "The fuck do you mean?" Right? Like, at the end of the day, like I feel like we take for granted all the things that do work. Like your electricity is on all the time. You have fucking wireless Wi-Fi, right? Like you got Wi-Fi that's always on, an infinite access to information. You have fucking paved roads that you can drive on. You have a police department that you can call on if something happens, a fire department. You have all these things that are constantly working, right? And I feel like when we're talking about the system involved, like we're never like taking into account all the things that work. We only focus on the things that don't work. And I feel like a lot of the mistrust comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of how things work. Like when we talk about like the system, and again, this comes with a lot of fucking conspiracy theory. The system, the Illuminati, they're trying to get us, right? They're trying to do whatever they got to do, right? But like, we were just talking about abortion, Roe versus Wade in the Supreme Court. Like, half of these niggas can't even agree in the goddamn Supreme Court. So it's 3 of them that think one way, and then there's 6 of them that think another way, right? So if you look at an organization like the FBI, for example, if you put all these motherfuckers in a room, a bunch of them are going to disagree on a bunch of shit. Like, they don't all have, like, the same agenda. They're not all, like, you know what I mean?
Doesn't that not matter, though?
It absolutely does matter.
No, because, like, but I'm saying, because, like, if you're in the FBI, if you're in the military, like, doesn't it not matter, like, whatever the orders are from whoever ranks, like, it has to go through?
But I'm saying that person even has an agenda. You can go all the way to the front. Go all the way to the head of the FBI. That guy's agenda might not line up. Like, a perfect example is during the 60s, where the CIA was bringing the drugs from the Contra into this country with Freeway Ricky Ross, right?
Correct. Yeah.
While the CIA was bringing drugs into the country, the FBI was trying to keep drugs out of the country. You know what I'm saying? Like, these niggas was not on the same page. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but they're never on the same page. I'm just talking about, like, each establishment in itself, though, right? Like, again, I don't really know, right? I'm not involved in it, but I always thought that whatever the orders are, that's just what it is.
I think what the sorry to interject, but I think that way of thinking is a little dangerous too, Chris, because I think we have enough examples on where the system was against people. So I feel like that's why a lot of people be dwelling on that shit too. Like, especially like in the medical field, a lot of times motherfuckers ain't fixing you. They just stabilizing the situation to make more money off of you. So when you see certain things like that, of course you're gonna be distrustful. You feel me? Like, you still gonna feel, or even the CIA shit with the crack epidemic that started in Cali and worked its way up to like Illinois and all these other states too.
New York, nigga, it went all the way from coast to coast.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But that right there, you remember when we was talking about like mass shootings and stuff like that, and we was like, the fact that it was one mass shooting ever in the history of the United States is one too many. You know what I'm saying? Way too many, because it should never have even been one. But the fact that the government has shown us at least once, sometimes it's against its own people, is enough to be distrustful, right? Or wrong?
No, that's absolutely true. But the problem is that mentality is shotgunned and it's applied to every situation. Like, when we're talking about, like, again, the drugs, for example, that was a failure on the CIA, right? Well, I don't even know what the fuck to call it, because it wasn't a failure. They accomplished what they wanted to do.
Yeah, it wasn't, because they needed the money to fund whatever they were trying to do.
Not just that, but I think they were trying to destabilize a certain community. But anyways.
Yeah, but I didn't want to go that deep, but yes. Go ahead.
But like, that was a CIA thing. That doesn't reflect on the justice system.
In a way, yes, though, because you don't think, because a lot of people that was getting locked up, Freeway got locked up, but the CIA agent that was in charge of it didn't. You don't think that reflects on the justice system? That's fucked up.
That they didn't go, but they did go after.
That's conspiracy to murder.
Huh?
They went after him. They went after all the people, but they ended up protecting them.
All right, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
so that was probably a bad example, but those are like separate things. Like, the thing is, like, all right, so like, hear me out. I feel like what people do, like, subconsciously, is they think about this, like, you've seen Austin Powers, where all the evil people are sitting in a room, like, rubbing their chins, like, right? That's not how it works.
$1 billion.
Right? Like the CIA didn't get with the judges and wherever and be like, yo, this is what we're gonna do, right? They weren't in cahoots with one another.
But I agree with you 100%. It's not no fucking evil table meeting, like, and motherfuckers got suits and ties, like, we're gonna fucking. But the fact that when it comes back, right? Because you said they protected them. That's kind of in cahoots in itself, because you don't want to topple your own system in a way. That's why a lot of cops don't get locked up, because if we lock up these cops, it's gonna make it look like we're corrupt from within in a way. It's gonna make us look bad, so we gotta protect us, even though one of us went haywire and did his own thing, right? He did his own thing. He had I didn't have nothing to do with it, but David went wild. He went rogue. But the fact that he came back and knowingly that he did this shit and I protected him, that's corrupt in itself.
Like I said, that was a bad example because these are like eternal mechanisms that kind of operate by themselves, right? It's almost like, I hate to go this deep, but like a lot of the things that keep the Black community in the places that they are, like these are mechanisms that are self-sustaining, right? Like there's a reason why liquor stores and gun stores keep popping up in the same demographic areas, right? It's not necessarily that somebody is like, yo, this is what we're going to do. Like the government is putting a budget to put gun stores in the hood. It's just that they know that's where they're going to be the most successful. It's just a self-sustaining system that works by itself.
But that's corruption, though, in a sense, though. Is it not?
Right. But like, I guess the reason I even came to this topic was because I was talking to these people and they're like, well, everything is about money. And this is why like nothing will ever get fixed. And I was like, dude, like the only reason anything works, like the value of money is all perceived. The leaders of this country is all perceived. The president of the United States perceived, police, everything. Power is perceived. The reason these people are in charge is because all of us agree that they're in charge, right?
Right.
What ended up happening back in 17 wherever, right? There was a famine in France. And they went to the queen and they're like, what are we going to do about these people starving in the streets? And she's like, sarcastically, why don't they eat cake? You know what ended up happening? They dragged that bitch.
She got murdered.
Yes. They dragged them out of the palace.
It's funny.
Cruz was about to go in on his description.
She got murdered.
They dragged them out of the palace, and in the middle of the town square, in front of everybody, they chopped their heads off.
Yeah.
So these are people who had all the power, all the money, all the everything, and their heads still rolled like anybody else who ended up on the guillotine, right? Same thing happened in Russia just 100 years ago. And I'm telling this guy, like, yo, like, knowledge is power, right? Like, the fact that, like, what you're doing is you're using, like, your ignorance as a shield. And I think that's what a lot of people use when they're applying, like, the system mentality, where there's a lot of shit like you're talking about, like the same thing that you're saying with the internal mechanisms, like kind of just like these guys end up protecting themselves, like the police end up protecting themselves. But that doesn't excuse you from not understanding what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think both statements, I think two things could coexist at the same time and still be correct. Because I have, again, I talk about this job so much, even though I like the job, Nike. We had a store manager come in and he said, fuck this system, I hate the establishment, it's corrupt, who out the bin, this, that, and the third, whatever. He had this conversation with me for over a year, right? Initially coming in, I felt like he had good intentions. I recently, like literally yesterday, got called into his office, big ass conversation. Like I basically told him, like, I'm gonna do you a favor before I slap you, I'm gonna walk out the room, right? The corruption was set up in that system because power is top heavy more often than not, right? And a lot of systems that you come in, I feel like because absolute power corrupts absolutely. We have a lot of these statements and for some reason we don't understand that these shits is true a lot. He come in the shit that he wanted to topple over, I guess. Now, in my eyes, and he told me perception is reality, which is true, he's just as corrupted as what he was trying to take down. You get what I'm saying? Like, he'll come in, okay, the store made $97,000. Good job, team. The $97,000 ain't coming to me, motherfucker. Like, it's going to Nike, Bill Garmin, Phil Knight, whoever CEO is in charge at the moment, whatever CIOs and all these top important people. And I'm like, yeah, not Nike itself is not evil, but in certain aspects of where people land at, because people is imperfect and they get to these certain positions where they do weird ass shit to preserve themselves. Like we had this conversation, self-preservation is a thing. And a lot of times people do weird shit to preserve themselves because they justify it because of what was set in place prior to them a lot of times. Like, yo, make this money, keep your job, fuck whoever you got to step on after the fact. You feel me? Like, so I think that's why comparing that to the government or these establishments or the system, whatever the fuck you want to call it, because people got 20,000 different names. That's why they feel like it's corrupt, because these people get in these positions and do weird ass shit. We've seen it. Pass weird laws that don't have nothing to do with them fucking and not stop certain aspects of other situations. And you like, how not, motherfucker? You passed that anti-Asian hate crime bill, but you don't pass the anti-black hate crime bill when motherfuckers been getting trampled for 400 years. Like, so of course they're gonna look up and be like, no, nigga, that's corruption. How you pass this bill in 5 years but not pass this one in 400?
But like, what benefit is there to passing like the Asian bill? I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'm curious.
What you mean? I don't know. They passed it. I don't.
It's just the principle behind it.
Yeah, like I don't know if that's a good example of what you're saying, but like I feel what you're saying though. Like I get like the general like gist of what you're saying for sure.
Yeah, because you have certain. I think certain demographics have the reason or have a reason why they feel the system is corrupted. You know what I'm saying? Because if you getting stepped on for so long, then you watch somebody else benefit quicker than you have, you don't feel like something's going on regardless. Education is key. You got to understand to fully dissect something, or you got to have some type of information that's outside of opinion to fully make it make sense, right? But when you see certain things happen, you're going to be like, wait a minute, because it's human nature to question, how come this shit made more sense than this shit when this shit been happening longer than this shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, but there's certain people is tinfoil wearing motherfuckers where anything that happens, you trip on the crack. I guess I broke my mom's back 200 miles away from here. It's like, no, nigga, it's weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, certain people just want to, and I feel like the lack of education, again, they just, instead of trying to educate themselves, they're going to follow anything that makes a little bit of sense, even though it has no type of facts behind it. Like, it has to be aliens. It has to be a weather-making machine. Kodak is a clone. Gucci is a clone. It's like, no, nigga.
What's crazy is that, like, to justify, like, because I feel like the average person, and I hope that doesn't sound arrogant, because like, whatever.
It might be.
Like, the average person, I don't think has a deep understanding of, like, how things work, like, even the things that they're into. Right, so they kind of have just like they depend on broad generalizations, right? So a good example that I have, and I don't know if we discussed this on the podcast, but we were talking about like how owners, like the relationship between owners and GMs in sports franchises, right? And what they were saying was, why don't these guys just spend a bunch of money? They're billionaires, right? And I'm like, well, you got these salary caps and you got this and you got that. And obviously you got the fact that like this billionaire doesn't want to lose all this money, right? Like in the NBA, like $10 million over the salary cap can multiply into like $50 million. You know what I mean? And no owner wants to just throw away $50 million. And the way these people think is, well, they're billionaires, who gives a fuck? Right. And I end up having this long debate, like, bro, like GMs get fired all the time. If that was the case, every GM would just spend $100 million over the salary cap and they wouldn't care. But that's obviously not what's happening because they're not allowed to. And the reason people think like that is because of this basic ass mentality that they're applying to some shit that they do not understand. And I feel like this is what we do in politics all of the motherfucking time.
Yeah, I could agree with that. A lot of people, but I could simplify that even more. I said that shit the other day. A lot of people talk just to talk anyway. A lot of people ain't really saying much. If you pay attention to like 90% of people around.
Yeah, I know, nigga. I
Yeah,
know.
like now, one of the biggest shit is TikTok, and I just got into TikTok like a week ago. Like I spent hours on that motherfucker, right? But I know it's entertainment. A video pop up and talk about like, oh, it was aliens prior to us, and then they put the first humans out the bin. Somebody would take that shit and run with it, like just because it was a conversation starter in TikTok. Like, and I just had that conversation like a week ago at Nike, and I was just like, "What the fuck are you saying?" Like, and it was just like, "What if it's true though?" And I'm just like, "But what if it's not?"
Mm.
Like, you know, but I was like, did you see that on TikTok? TikTok? And it was like, yeah. And I was like, all righty. At that point, like, what the fuck are we talking about? Did you do any type of research or any type of anything that was conducive to the information you were trying to produce to me? You get what I'm saying? They're like, no, I just saw it on TikTok and it had me thinking.
No.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means, but except for one. And it's one that we've talked about in the group chat before, and it's 9/11.
Wait, 9/11?
That's the only one. Yeah.
Oh my God, bro. The American government would never purposely kill white Americans, bro. All right, listen. Give me an example of the American government killing white Americans.
9/11.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, they sent niggas to wars that we didn't need to fight. But
all right, but the dudes that signed up for the war, they literally signed up for the shit. So it's like, I mean, they didn't come to your door and ask you, "Hey, will you come to the war?" Or they didn't draft you and say, "Hey, come find this war." Like,
so that's.
But hey, again, that's
justification.
Hey, wait, hold on. Isn't the Civil War Americans killing Americans?
Yep.
Okay, but P is saying that when dudes signed up to go fight in Iraq and Afghanistan and
no, David, I'm with you. I think Peterson's. I don't think
it's a reach for that argument.
I don't think that's a reach, nigga. Just
because listen, what I say. For a
nigga that signed up to the military, first of all, I signed up for myself, off rip. So I'm gonna let that be known. So that's why when people say thank you for your service, I didn't serve you, nigga. I served myself. One. But you don't sign up to fight bullshit. You sign up to protect and serve, not bullshit.
But you realize that you're putting yourself at risk under protect and serve.
Not for bullshit.
But but that's unreasonable. Like
that's beyond your control. The bullshit that you put up with as a person who signs up, like that's beyond your control. But you're the person that decided who's in control of themselves.
That's not see now, like that's not what you said though. That's not what you said.
That is what I said.
Chill. So like what I'm saying is like, especially us too, because we both enlisted after Afghanistan and Iraq and all this shit. So we both knew the consequences that maybe we might end up in Iraq and Afghanistan. I don't have any beef with Iraqis. I don't have any beef with any Afghanis. I'm assuming neither do you.
No, I don't know them niggas.
But when you signed up, you understood that there's a chance that you might go over there.
But etymology is a thing. Let's break down the statement that David originally said. Etymology, right? Words mean something. He said.
I didn't say that.
No, words mean something, right? Etymology.
I didn't say etymology.
Listen. You have to let me speak. You said America would not purposely send or kill white people. That's false. With that statement I just said now. You sending people to war, a useless war.
Dude,
no niggas is gonna die. Like that's
the white people that signed up for that war, they knew they might die. The American government didn't knock on their door and say, "Hey, you have to sign up for this."
So let me use an example. I take an AK and spray my whole apartment, right? My whole apartment. I don't know who the fuck I'm gonna shoot, right? And if I kill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 white people, 7 black people, 6 Hispanic people, so on and so forth, right? I purposely tried to kill motherfuckers. regardless of the numbers of X, Y, and Z that I kill, my nigga. So I
Did
purposely
the
did
government
that.
first? Did the government put you up to it?
So here's a better example. There's a definitive difference between me walking up to some random dude at the gas station and blowing his brains out, right? And me convincing a friend to join a gang that I'm in that ends up getting him killed. Those are two completely separate scenarios.
The probability of death changes within those scenarios.
Like when I put a gun to your head and I shoot, it's 100%.
That's 100%.
Right?
Facts.
Right. Like when I tell you to join a gang, I'm not telling you to join a gang because you're gonna die. I'm telling you to join a gang with the probability that you might die. Just like if I'm the American government or I'm the Army or the Marines or the Air Force, I'm sending you to a certain place with the possibility that you might die. If I throw a plane full of people into a building, I'm guaranteeing that they're gonna fucking die.
Yeah,
right?
but
It's way different.
I'm
way different. Like
I'm gonna leave that shit.
Yeah, like I said, we already had
this is all based off Rook's
disagree.
like little fucking conspiracy theory, but dude, like the American government's not purposely killing white people, bro. Like it's not happening. It's never happened. 9/11 was not an example of that happening. Like, proceed, please continue. Like,
and I don't see the fucking point of it, man. Like,
yeah,
whatever. We've already had the conversation, so we don't need to get back into it. So it's fine.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have it again.
Yeah, in the group chat at some point. But it's super sus. It's super sus. Some of the things super sus. Let's end off on a lighter note. Let's talk about some NBA free agency, huh?
They're going in on KD, bro.
Dude,
there's not much to talk about on my end.
Fucking a loser.
Like it's crazy because like last year we all considered KD the greatest player besides David, obviously. But
I had him second.
the rest of us normal people considered KD the best player in the world.
Giannis.
Well, Giannis, I did, but that was like later in the season though, too. Though.
So like,
that was like once the playoffs hit, I was like, nah, it's Giannis.
All right, so let's say it's Giannis and then KD's right after.
Yeah.
Right, whatever. Like now, like people are looking at KD like a nigga they wouldn't even pick up at LA Fitness.
Come on, bro. That's
who's saying
no
that?
way. Come on, bro.
What are you talking about? Who's saying that?
I mean, I'm obviously exaggerating.
What you mean by that, bro?
I was going to explain what I meant by that before you interrupted.
Shout out Drewski. You're that guy, bro.
I don't know who that is.
Damn.
Sleep.
All right.
You sleep. You sleep, bro.
All right. So, like, niggas is on some, like, KD can't win shit. This nigga's just bandwagoning, right? Like, this nigga chose the 2 number 1 seeds in each conference after the Nets thing, after the Warriors thing.
It's pretty funny.
It is.
But continue. Sorry.
You know, no, I mean that's really all I gotta say. Like, because we were having a debate in the group chat where people are saying, "Well, now Steph Curry is over KD in these rankings," and I'm like, "Wait, but like KD's always been a better player."
Right.
Did you guys hear what?
But for some people, like that's not enough. Like, that's not enough. Their resume is more important than their work of art. You know what I mean? Like. At what point has Steph Curry been a better basketball player than Kevin Durant? Like, tell me when.
I don't think ever.
No,
me neither.
Not a better basketball player, no. But like you said, it's people like will take his resume and fucking amplify that shit.
But the most important part of the resume, or at least to me, is the work of art itself.
Right.
Like beyond the accolades, beyond that.
Yeah. Do you guys hear Draymond Green's response to the KD shit?
No, man. Draymond Green is a competitor in the NBA. Like, you got to take that shit with a grain of salt. He's not going to fully give like his entire opinion on somebody he's got to play against.
Draymond Rook, can you let Rook say what Draymond said? We're arguing against nothing.
I'm saying like. all
Go ahead.
all Dre said was that like he doesn't have a problem with KD wanting out of a dysfunctional situation. He was talking about how we praise when like people will go from Google then to Apple then like Tesla then DocuSign or whatever, and everyone will applaud them for all these milestones as they go through. But then when athletes do it, it's frowned upon. And he's like, because this is when you're an athlete, this is your business, right? So you're making business decisions for yourself, which I thought was like, you know, true. But I also, and Wendy even said it on TV. He was just like, the difference is that person that's going from fucking Apple from Google to Apple, like if you're under a 3-year contract with Google, like you're not leaving until that shit's up to go to Apple. At least it would be like super difficult to do. Which that I believe wholeheartedly. Like in the real world, you can't like it's very difficult to up and out of contracts if they don't let you.
Well, fuck the contract, because we're not looking at it in the same context. I've heard the same argument after KD went to the Warriors. But like, we're not looking at the guy that went from Apple to Microsoft as a competitor, right? Like, if you can go from Apple and you said what?
Apple is not. Absolutely not.
What do you mean Apple's
Apple doesn't have Microsoft and
wait, hold on.
Android in their commercials.
Who gives a fuck? Let's not detract. The guy who's programming for Apple, we don't see him as competing against the guy who's programming for Microsoft.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Right? Like, if you switch...
I mean, we don't see it, but that is what they're doing.
Peterson right now is doing IT for Advent Health, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you decided to go to another company, nobody would give a fuck because nobody's measuring you off of your competitiveness. They're just measuring you how competent you are at your job.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right? There's a reason why the flu game and Kobe shooting his free throws after tearing his Achilles are legendary, right? Because they're like
writing about it.
Feats. Huh?
Yeah, when KD went to go to state, it was a business move. Look at it as strictly a business move. You're like, makes a lot of fucking sense,
Wait, can I finish my point though? What I'm saying is that we view these guys as competitors. That's what makes them like. That's how we compare them to one another, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can say, yeah, it's a business move, but in terms of competition, it doesn't do anything for the way that I view you. You're not conquering the competition by joining the best team, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know. I don't watch sports like that because I could give a fuck, but I feel like if we were in these same positions, a lot of us would make these same moves. Niggas want to win and make money, like, essentially. So I feel like we would do the same shit this nigga did, like, in a way.
I mean, KD is one of one, so it's hard to say what
it's easy to
we
say
would do
that,
in his
but it's
position.
like most motherfuckers have not,
Right, yeah, like most people have not.
What's LeBron did it?
So LeBron, KD,
LeBron James didn't join a team that set a record for winning the most games in a regular season.
The biggest difference between LeBron though is LeBron always played out his contracts. Like he didn't ask for a trade or anything like that. And the thing with the KD asking for a trade, that's not the biggest difference. No, that's for sure the biggest difference, bro. Because
no way, bro.
That's not absolutely.
LeBron James didn't join a number one seed. Ever.
He didn't join the Celtics, nigga. Like that's
all right, fair.
Right. Like he didn't join a team that beat him ever.
Yeah, fair. Like that's a huge thing, bro.
He didn't join the Mavs. But I'm talking about the Spurs. He didn't join the Warriors. He didn't join the Celtics.
All I'm saying is all these dudes opting out of their contracts or asking for trades out of their contracts or whatever while under contract is going to create a huge fucking issue when it comes to the player bargaining agreement.
Sure. But nobody,
absolutely.
Nobody cares about their contract. At least on the outside looking in, like we don't care how many years are left in your contract. So bro, we don't care about that.
Go ahead, Chris.
Like I don't think this is going to create an issue.
So you don't think that when they have the next collective bargaining agreement and these owners are like, yo, y'all got to fucking respect your contracts and play your contracts, and players are gonna be like, nah, I still want to be mobile. That's not gonna cause some fucking friction here, and it's gonna cause a huge like
No,
lockout and
dude.
shit.
I mean, it
Have
is.
owners
The owners are
ever
going to fight for
traded
it, but what are they going to do?
the current contract that they're serving for the player? Have owners ever not have owners ever decided not to trade a player because they were under contract? No.
Yeah, that happens all the time. It just doesn't.
No.
Yeah, that happens all the time. It just
No.
doesn't always happen. When it comes to like the star players, is different. But like people want to get traded all the time that the owners say no.
Let me cut you off. What David is saying is that being on a contract never stopped an owner from trading a player.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Yeah.
So, like, what David is saying is that you can apply that same logic in reverse.
Or I would have played give a fuck about his contract if he wanted to be traded.
Right.
Yeah, but yes
That
and no, though. Because,
That
like,
makes sense, though.
I guess, but, like, this is also your employer, right? It's kind of like this is what you sign up for, knowing that this is a likelihood of what's going to happen. Like, you guys try to use that example about signing up for war. It's the same thing when you sign a contract for the NBA. Like, it's a business, and you know that there's a chance that you're going to get fucking traded.
If war in your contract is not tradable, bro.
So
you can't just be like, I'm gonna send you to Afghanistan. You can be back, somebody.
So like,
it's not
fuck that.
bro.
But like, the thing is that like you can also apply that logic in reverse again. You can be like, as an owner, I can sign this guy to a max contract, but it's possible that next year he's gonna want out of here. Yeah.
No, I just like I said, I think it's gonna create an issue, and I am terrified.
Like what the thing is that during the CBA, like that's what the CBA is. There's gonna be issues, right?
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
There's gonna be issues regardless. The thing is, how successful are these owners gonna be in the arguments that they make? And I feel like the players have a lot of power, and I don't know what you do to litigate that. Do you start adding no trade clauses from the owner side? Like, you can't ask for a trade unless I approve it. Like, what player is going to be okay with that? Like, in a league that has LeBron James, there is no way that shit will slide. You know what I mean?
No, I know at least on the player front, like a lot of what they'll do is to try to prevent or like try to stop people from wanting to be traded or trading them, is they'll have like trade kickers on their contracts and shit. So like if you trade this player, you got to pay X amount. The team that's trading, and then motherfuckers don't want to do that. So there's that. But anyway, Katie's has this fucking offseason in a fucking chokehold right now. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where he's going. And it's really just pissing me off because I'm like antsy because I just want him to fuck out of the East.
He's not going anywhere, man. At this point, you're not going anywhere.
At this point,
how long ago was it? How long ago was it that we heard the trade request?
Like
I was in Georgia at the time.
I mean, like a week and a half. Time out, David. The Nets have tremendous leverage right now. They have arguably one of the 5 best players in the league. They can hold out for every offer that they want, right?
Yeah.
But is it every team coming with their best offer initially?
Well, the problem,
a top 5 player.
Well, the problem now, like what I mentioned in the group chat, is the fucking dickhead Minnesota Timberwolves are over here like significantly overpaying for this man. So then that's what Windhorst literally reported was like people had these offers, and then the Nets saw what the fuck Minnesota gave up to get Gobert. So then the Nets were just like, nah, we're raising our fucking offer or what we want. So like it's destroying the market that way.
Like, I mean, I feel like that further proves what I just said. Like the offers that the Nets were getting for Kevin Durant had to have been better than the offers that Minnesota was getting. Or sorry, not Minnesota. Utah was getting for Gobert.
No, that's the problem. That's why the Nets are now saying that the offers aren't good enough and they want more because of what Utah got for Rudy.
Right, but all right. So my question for you is do you think that Brooklyn got a better offer for Kevin Durant than the accepted offer that Utah got for Rudy Gobert?
Yes.
Yeah. Brooklyn definitely got a better offer than that, and they were just like, not enough.
Right, and rightfully so, nigga. It's Kevin Durant versus Rudy Gobert.
Right. Agreed.
Dude.
Like we're saying this. I think this is just convenient because like Philadelphia was doing this with Ben Simmons, and they weren't comparing Ben Simmons offers to other offers. They were just like, we feel like we can do better.
They were at first they were.
I think the Ben Simmons thing, that's a really unique situation where the trade didn't happen until James Harden said, "Get me the fuck out of here."
But what were they comparing the Ben Simmons trade to?
They were comparing it to the Drew Holiday offers at first. And then James Harden became available.
Yeah, but like what I'm saying is
was considered trading Holiday for
No. He's saying what were they comparing it to? And it was like comparing how we gave like 4 first-round picks and shit for Holiday.
But like if that's the logic, then there's always gonna be a team that you can compare to. There's always gonna be a team that forks up too much money or too much capital.
The last team that fucked up, essentially, like we could just say so and so got this now for this. I don't think that's what happened.
Yeah, like they were just like, he's a really good player, and if we wait long enough, we can slip into something, and they did. Same thing with the Nets. The Nets are just like, but like, let's say Rudy Gobert never leaves. The Nets will still be super stingy. They'll just be like, listen, give me everything you have because KD is the fucking man, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's the problem that teams like Miami and fucking Phoenix are going through right now, where it's like they don't want to trade the fucking house to compete when they're already relatively competitive right now without him. And it's like the whole point is to be able to go and win a championship type shit instead of giving away all your championship pieces. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Oh, no. I think you're mistaken, honestly.
You said what?
I think you're mistaken.
On what?
With the expectation of something happening with Kevin Durant at this point.
Bro, free agency just fucking started, dog.
Okay, but the conversation surrounding Kevin Durant has been happening prior to free agency starting.
No, the report came out. The report came out. They won a free agency.
No. The Kevin Durant trade request, when did that come out? All free agency or the day before or time before?
I'm pretty sure it was like day of free agency.
It was like relatively like it was like around that same.
It was before free agency.
If it was before David, then it was on the 30th, and free agency is on the 1st.
Yeah,
all right.
Nah, I mean, like, I don't think I feel like that makes the Kevin Durant free agency shit started before free agency.
Yeah, by a day.
I'm sorry. And here we are. A week and a half later.
It's because the Nets have a shit ton of leverage. They got arguably the best player in the NBA. They don't have to jump at any offer.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm saying the teams that have made offers, like they made their best offer,
time out. What are we arguing here?
I mean,
I don't know, dude. At this point,
using the Minnesota shit, like that was bad. That was not a good example.
You don't think that affected it at all?
I don't think it did. I think the Nets would have been stingy regardless. Yeah.
Yeah, stingy regardless. Yeah,
you think the Nets?
Bro, they got 5 players.
Look at what Rudy Gobert got. The Nets don't give a fuck about Rudy Gobert.
Bro, I'm not talking about Rudy Gobert as the player. What they're saying is what they got for him being the player that he is, being not worth he's saying that Minnesota significantly overpaid, and they're like, oh, if they're getting that, I want more.
All right, so like let's speculate. Let's speculate on an offer that was made for Kevin Durant. Let's just speculate.
Okay.
Like Miami made an offer, right?
I don't know.
Okay, so let's pretend that Miami did make an offer. Let's say that they offered Hero, they offered a couple first round picks, and they offered it would have to be what, Laurie?
Another shooter.
Yeah, like let's say they offered
the Nets wouldn't be interested in a point guard. They got Ben Simmons.
All
They'll be interested in shooters. And that's what Miami can offer to them. Shooters.
All right. So let's say Miami built
Duncan Robinson included.
Yeah, the second best shooter in the league, right?
June 30th. June
What's it
30th
called?
is when KD made the trade request. So, like I said, literally a day right before free agency.
All right, nigga, let me finish one goddamn sentence. So, goddamn. All right, so Miami makes their offer. Whether Rudy Gobert gets traded for all that shit or not, the Nets are still going to be like, no. Because they know they could do better.
Right.
So
the Rudy Gobert shit, irrelevant, bro. Like,
no,
Yeah,
so,
it's not gonna.
probably not
guys,
irrelevant.
guys,
Bad word, but
I'm not.
like just not
Listen,
as important
I'm
as you
not
think
just
it
saying this
is.
out of my like fucking
I
Windhorst,
understand what we're trying
bro.
to say. I just don't care about
Windhorst,
sports.
fucking Woj, both of these guys, fucking NBA insiders, both have said the same shit. That they looked at what the fucking Jazz got for Rudy, and then they were like, "Well, I want more than that because it's Kevin Durant." So they upped what they were asking for, what they wanted.
Like I don't doubt that that's what they said, but I'm not believing that that's genuine, right? Like they're gonna say that shit because it gives them leverage, right? Like they're in these trade negotiations. Like let's say you're the Nets, right? And you're negotiating with Miami, and Miami gives you an offer that you don't think is strong enough. What's the first thing you're gonna say? Well, look at what Minnesota gave up to get Rudy. That doesn't necessarily mean you believe that shit. You're just using that as leverage. Like I said, KD was already like what you're saying makes sense for lower tier players. Like if I have somebody who's like outside of the top 20,
Which is how Rook really feels about Gobert.
If I
We all
had somebody who's outside of the
It's
top 20, that shit might make more sense. But we're talking about motherfucking KD. Like LeBron's trade value isn't going to be affected by Rudy Gobert. Neither is KD's. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Anyway,
But the market, bro, the market. But the market. That's what Brooks gonna say. Like there are
KD
outliers in the market, and it's like Kevin Durant is one
is
of
an
them.
outlier. Is an outlier.
Kevin Durant isn't. And you're
I don't even
more
know
on this
why-
stock shit than me. I'm the least educated on stocks, and I know that there are outliers in the market. Kevin Durant, he's one of them.
Yeah. They were gonna ask for a premium regardless of Rudy Gobert or not.
Kevin
But
Durant,
yeah.
he has 4 years on his contract.
yeah.
Like you don't think that like squares or quadruples like the value in trading for Kevin Durant? It's like not only do you get Kevin Durant for this year, you get him for the years remaining on his contract, which are 4 fucking years.
Unless he asks for another trade.
That'd be
Hey,
sick.
listen, you do run that risk, so wear a condom. You know what I mean?
Nah, like all right. So like when we're talking about, let's take this back though.
Okay.
So like when we're talking about running away from the grind or facing the grind, like this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to move like Kevin Durant. I mean, am I tripping? Am I out of line, Rook?
I mean, no, it's literally what they're
Katie-
essentially insinuating is what you're supposed to do.
It seems like David wrote a book and Katie read it.
I will say though, the situation.
Elaborate on that.
The situation in Brooklyn, like I understand wanting out of Brooklyn because it's just a shit show. So that is a little bit
But the
different.
thing is, like, if you hang in there, it might not be that bad.
But it might be.
Like, it might not. You
The
get
thing
Ben
is
Simmons
that-
at the 1, put Kyrie at the 2. Ben
All right,
Simmons
so
passes them the ball and fucking defends 1 through 5. Like, that's enticing to.
Well, I guess the
you know,
biggest
just-
thing. Never mind. I kind of take back what I said because, like, from what I heard was that like Katie was just heated at the Nets because they wouldn't give Kyrie the fucking max extension. So he's like, "Nah, fuck y'all.
So,
Y'all did my boy
he
dirty,
si-
so I'm out." So never mind. I do take it back. With that being like a big
Yeah, but-
component of it is like, bro, come on.
Like these
Fucking
niggas
Kyrie.
just.
But the thing is, didn't Kyrie sign or opt in because of I want to fulfill my commitment to the franchise plus my boy that I signed up with this shit for?
And like the
I mean,
next motherfucking
Kyrie's
day,
plan is to
KD
get to the
asked
Lakers
for-
regardless, dog. Like Kyrie's trying to get to the Lakers regardless.
Okay, so listen. Even if it is, it's like maybe after this year, when he's a free agent, he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Kyrie
This year
Kyrie
that he opted in for.
Kyrie opted in because of KD. And then the next motherfucking day, KD was like, I think I want to go.
He said,
tell you, like, KD's different. And like, we're using these examples like, oh, he could have stuck it out. He could have stuck it out in the Warriors, but he decided not to.
they could have had like.
Draymond said, "We don't need you." Like that's just things, bro.
Hey, they didn't.
That's just things. Man, that. Well, I'm not gonna get into that finals run, but
What about it? Oh, the fraudulent one.
they played one team and it was in the finals in the Celtics.
Well, you're talking about last year?
Yeah.
This year, this most previous year,
like
they faced Jokic by himself.
What is with you?
BNC gone.
Like, I promise you.
They faced Memphis. Ja Morant got hurt courtesy of Jordan Poole.
They were gonna whoop their ass regardless. They were gonna whoop their ass regardless.
Yeah. Sure they were. And then they faced Luka Doncic and the Mavericks.
Who's really fucking good, David.
Yeah, like
it's a one-man team versus a team with fucking 3 Hall of Famers.
Jalen Brunson is really good.
That team is built around Luka, dog.
Like define a one-man.
He doesn't have enough.
All right, define a one-man team.
Andrew Wiggins was an all-star starter.
Yeah, because of Steph Curry.
Yeah, like Andrew Wiggins
and the
is better
Warriors.
than Jalen
Andrew
Brunson.
Wiggins is playing with 3 Hall of Famers. And Andrew Wiggins is an all-star starter.
But he wasn't an all-star before.
He was getting clowned every day. Dude, the Warriors were getting clowned for even trading for him and keeping him.
Yo, you've been smoking too much weed. Like, you don't remember he came from Minnesota. He came from Minnesota. You don't remember those days?
Bro, Minnesota was not a good place.
All right, so when
they were reliant on Karl Anthony Towns.
I don't know what that means. Like,
you mean bro, like a top 5
Karl
center
Anthony
in the
Towns
league?
Center.
Okay.
Center.
Like, I don't understand. Like,
you act like that adds more value to his player than what he actually is.
I don't get why you're getting so hyped. Like, I don't get what a one-man team means to you. Like, does it mean that you face inferior competition? Not even equal competition. Inferior. So one-man team means you're facing teams that are worse?
No. That means the Warriors faced inferior competition.
I'm saying what makes a one-man team?
It's Luka Doncic and what else?
Jalen
Dallas didn't
Brunson.
even care enough about Brunson to keep him. They let him go in free agency.
Because they couldn't afford him.
Because the Knicks offered him a bigger bag. The difference was what?
A much bigger bag.
Yeah.
What was the difference you look at the contracts. What was the difference in contracts that were offered?
Well, the problem was the Mavs didn't even get a chance to offer him a contract because he was going with New York because they were giving him so much fucking money. And he knew that the Mavs couldn't match it because their fucking payrolls on fucking...
Match it. But being at least in the same ballpark, you don't think they could offer a 4-year, $100 million deal?
So, like, what you're saying, because, like, everybody...
But it doesn't even matter because the Dallas Mavericks stacked up incredibly short versus the fucking Golden State Warriors with the Hall of Fame trio intact. Like, are any of us surprised that the Warriors beat the Mavericks, beat the Nuggets without Murray and Porter, and beat the fucking Grizzlies without Ja Morant?
Are you done? All right. So anybody besides you, because again, you're always the exception. Everybody with a fucking brain besides you knows that the Warriors are going to beat the Grizzlies regardless, right? Except for you, because you're fucking special. And then when you're talking about the Hall of Fame trio, Klay Thompson was a shell of himself.
Facts.
And then Draymond Green.
Threat.
Can I speak?
Were the Grizzlies still not worried about Klay Thompson getting hot?
Can I speak?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're right.
All right. Go ahead. And when it came to Draymond Green, you're saying he's a Hall of Famer, but he's a Hall of Famer because of where he's at. Like, you've seen him in these playoff games.
It's
he looked like
before.
a fucking... No?
You're right. I agree. But it's happened before where a Hall of Fame player plays in the finals par or below par to their...
It's not just the finals. Like, we've seen this from Draymond Green from a while. Like, we seen him without Steph Curry, and he looked like a guy who didn't belong in the NBA.
I mean,
like he was so bad, they're just like, bro, you don't got to play anymore. Like we're just gonna let these young dudes go.
Like, remember the year where they were a
what
lottery
do you have to
team?
play with?
Exactly.
The last 2 years, yeah.
It
That's the
doesn't
point.
matter. If he's nice,
All right,
he's nice, right?
Is Draymond Green not a Hall of Fame player? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying he's all of
like,
Because of the situation that he's
I don't
in.
think he is. Like, to me, like my criteria for being a Hall of Fame player is, do your franchise and your fan base think that they can win a game because you're playing in that game? Like that's my criteria.
Which I would argue that they feel that way about Draymond. Yeah.
No way, bro.
Dude, he allows them to play super small for years. Like they started the small ball lineup with this man at the 5.
All right, so he was a Hall of Fame player due to Stephen Clay. But then when Stephen Clay weren't there, like they sat him out.
Wait, so like,
it's like
wait. So
what are you arguing?
Making? Wait, time out. What's the point that you're making? The whole thing was
the fucking the Warriors' run to the finals was not difficult, bro. They faced 2 one-man teams and the Grizzlies without their best player.
So you're saying that they had 3 Hall of Famers?
That's my point.
They have 3 Hall of
Famers.
Famers crediting one of the Hall of Fame players.
Was the Celtics.
David, hear what I'm saying. You're saying you're making in the same argument that Draymond Green.
The Nuggets would have gave them problems.
Can I finish a fucking sentence?
Can I finish
the Nuggets would have gave them problems at full strength. The Nuggets would have gave them problems at full strength. And then they played the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies would have gave them problems at full strength. So, like, am I tripping for believing that? Because what I'm saying is they played 2 one-man teams, Jokic and Luka. And then they played the Grizzlies without John Morant. So that's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
That boy could stress out, boy.
While Chris is collecting himself there, David,
Chris is in a frenzy because he's like, fuck. The Nuggets would have gave the motherfuckers problem with Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray.
Shit. But anyway, the fucking Mavericks currently have 157 million in active roster money.
All right.
In a league where the cap is 122 million, David.
All right, so then
and they have
the
157.
Mavericks are not a one-man team. The Mavericks answer this for me. Are the Mavericks a one-man team?
No, you were talking about about them not re-signing Jalen Brunson. So I was letting you know because they yes you did. Yes you did. You said they didn't even want. You said they didn't even want.
Jalen Brunson was just there. Jalen Brunson was just there, and they lost.
I said he can't. You were like, they couldn't get anything close to that 100 million, and I said no, and I was just showing you that no. Yeah.
Jalen Brunson was just there.
Okay.
And they lost. So it's like Jalen Brunson is not that big of a difference.
They lost in 6, David. You act like they got swept. They still won 6 games.
Is Jalen Brunson making the difference between them and the Warriors?
Bro, I'm just saying, it's not like a fucking cakewalk out here, bro. You out here acting like they played nobody. Like, these are really good fucking teams, David.
All right, so the Mavericks are not a one-man team then. And Jokic without Murray and Porter Jr. are not a one-man
that's
team.
a fucking outlier. These dudes were fucking hurt.
All right, so Jokic is a one-man team. All right, so Luka's not a one-man team then?
Bro, Luka has the full strength of his entire roster. Jokic had a skeleton crew out there.
Oh, no. All right, so Jokic, all right, boom. He's an outlier as well then.
Yeah,
Luka Doncic,
his
not a one-man team?
His 2 other best options were hurt, David.
Tim Hardaway Jr.?
No, I said fucking...
Tim Hardaway Jr. was his second best option?
Bro, I'm talking about fucking Jokic.
No, dude, we already put him to rest. We talking about Luka Doncic. Was he a one-man team?
There's something literally wrong with this nigga, bro.
I am confused.
Nah, bro. I'm not tripping, bro.
You're letting your Steph
Jokic is a one-man team.
You up too much, bro. You gotta let
Luka
Steph
Doncic
go, dog.
Is Luka Doncic a one-man team?
Luka,
you said no.
It blows my mind how hyped he gets. It's like, what's wrong with you?
Bro, it's
Who does
because
Luka
it's
Doncic
Steph Curry
have?
being successful, and he can't stand it.
This is fucking crazy.
Who does Luka Doncic have, Anthony?
He had Jalen Brunson, who just cashed out $100 million fucking contract.
All right, so Jalen Brunson is that guy then. Jalen Brunson is another like high quality player that Luka Doncic can lean on to
If Andrew Wiggins is
carry the load.
If Andrew Wiggins is a top 50 player, so is Jalen Brunson.
Didn't Jalen Brunson win them games while Luka was
Andrew
hurt?
Wiggins is playing with 3 Hall of Famers.
Jalen Brunson is a top 25 player? Or Andrew Wiggins is a top 25 player?
No, I didn't have either
Yeah,
one.
is he a top 40 player? Is he a top 40 player?
I have to make a list.
He's not.
Jalen Brunson's not.
I'm saying Andrew Wiggins isn't.
All right, how about Jalen Brunson?
Dude, is 22, 5, and 4 not good enough to be a second option for like a very good second option on a playoff team, David?
That's James Harden right there.
James Harden will have more assists, but yeah, like this dude averaged 22, 5, and 4 in the playoffs, David. Like he wasn't a fucking walking bum out there.
So is he gonna? So he signed with the Knicks. Is he gonna average those numbers throughout the regular season for the Knicks?
Like, what is the point that you're making? Like, do you think Jalen Brunson is a bum?
He's not, bro. Like, I don't think he's a bum, but he's not a 22 and 5 and 4 guy, bro. Like, is he gonna average that in the playoffs next year? I don't think so.
David, please, can you just you talk a lot and you listen very little. What I'm asking is, what do you constitute as a one-man team?
A player that's by himself without any, at minimum, all-star caliber player. Is Jalen Brunson an all-star caliber player?
But that's just votes. Like, we know, like, if when we
that's what I mean by one-man team. You asked me what constitutes a one-man team,
and I'm responding.
And I gave you the answer.
And I'm responding. So if we're ranking players, like Andrew Wiggins and Jalen Brunson are really close in terms of where they rank in terms of everybody else. It's not like Andrew Wiggins is a top 40 player and Jalen Brunson is number 70. If Andrew Wiggins is 42, Jalen Brunson is maybe like 46. Right?
I mean, that's fine, but you can go.
So what I'm saying is, like, fuck the all-star selection. In terms of talent, Andrew Wiggins is not that much better than Jalen Brunson.
That's why I say all-star caliber.
But I just explained why that doesn't make any sense.
Bradley Beal is all-star caliber, but he didn't make the team. Kawhi Leonard is all-star caliber, but he didn't make the all-star team.
You're not listening to what I'm saying, David.
So why are you holding value?
You're not understanding what I'm saying.
I understand exactly.
But that's just part of it. When you're saying that what's a one-man team, I'm saying a guy that doesn't have at minimum an all-star caliber teammate. That's a one-man team.
You call the Bucks a one-man team all the time.
Yeah, that was before they got Drew Holiday.
And Chris Middleton lit y'all boys the fuck up.
Chris Middleton's a 2-time All-Star.
Drew Holiday didn't make the All-Star team.
That is true.
So what the fuck are you talking about? Drew
Holiday has been an All-Star caliber player, but he's been
he's not an All-Star,
Western Conference.
But David, he's not an All-Star. You know who was an All-Star?
Western Conference
Middleton.
All-Star player caliber.
Cash money, baby.
Caliber. 2-time All-Star.
I can't listen
versus
to
Drew Middleton. Or I'm sorry,
Drew Middleton. Bro, just put the blunt down, dog. Just let it go. We gotta wrap this up.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
no, there ain't no saying. You're stupid.
Got Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton wasn't at that time. He was not an all-star caliber player.
You called him a one-man team like 2 months ago. Shut the fuck up! Like, what the fuck you talking?
Nah, you're bugging. You're bugging. Rook will know. Look at the hat he got on. He knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Hey,
so when they got Drew Holiday, I didn't say they were a one-man team anymore. That theory had gone to
Drew
shit.
Holiday didn't make the All-Star team.
Yeah, I want the record to show. I want the record
was
to
an
show.
All-Star caliber.
I want the record to show that Chris Middleton was an All-Star before we had Drew Holiday on the team as well. And you still said Bucks were a one-man team. Just throwing that out there. Oh.
What was the record at the time?
They said, oh.
Oh, now you want to talk about records? I don't
Yeah, because
fucking know.
I mean I
We were
could
like the
point
top
out
seed.
players with better numbers, and you know that the All-Star shit is circumstantial because you can miss part of it due to injury.
If it's
so
circumstantial, then why are you putting weight behind it?
That's
So why you clowning Jalen?
Because I say caliber.
All-Star?
I say All-Star caliber. All-Star caliber player.
So you could say that about anybody. You can say Jalen Brunson is an All-Star caliber player.
He played how many games did he play this year?
A lot.
All of them.
Why did he make the All-Star team?
Because he's a guard.
Because he was hurt and didn't make the team.
Because he's a guard.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, is he an All-Star caliber player, Jalen Brunson?
Well,
that's my question for you. Is he an All-Star caliber player?
He's putting up the same numbers as Middleton.
It's a yes or no question. It's yes or no.
Is Middleton an All-Star caliber player? Is Middleton an All-Star caliber player? So is Jalen Brunson.
Yes. All right, so then is Jalen Brunson an All-Star caliber player?
Yes, according to you, yes.
Because you know that All-Star is dependent on the conference that they're in.
No, it's not. You're saying All-Star. You're saying All-Star caliber, which changes the whole conference calculus. You're saying how good are you, right? So if you're in a conference stacked with good guards, but you're still putting up 25 points a game, you're still an All-Star caliber player, correct? According to you?
You can't give me an example of that.
Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray is putting up 20. No, actually, I can give you an example of that. Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal led the league in points per game and didn't make the All-Star team that year.
So what are we talking about here?
Jalen Brunson, I do not think that Jalen Brunson is an All-Star caliber player.
Homer Simpson.
He's a good like complimentary player, but he's not All-Star caliber,
bro.
I tried, but then he kept going, and then I couldn't.
Like, yo, this nigga's just saying stupid shit like nonstop. This is crazy.
Right,
subscribe, comment, subscribe.
What are his numbers for the Knicks?
We'll catch y'all in the next video because David's out here talking crazy. We'll catch y'all. You have a good night. Peace.